conflict in and around Iran is now in full swing, with its impact expanding well beyond the immediate theatre, carrying increasingly serious regional and global implications. For members of the Organization of Turkic States, this is not a distant crisis. Two of its key members, Azerbaijan and Turkey, share direct borders with Iran, and both have already felt the physical consequences of escalation. Turkish airspace has been violated on multiple occasions, whilst Azerbaijan's Nakhchivan exclave was targeted by a drone attack on the 5th of March, underlining how quickly instability can spill across borders. At a recent informal meeting of the Council of Foreign Ministers of the Organization of Turkic States, these incidents were sharply criticized and condemned, of course, naturally. And some analysts have described the 7th of March gathering in Istanbul as a turning point for Turkic integration, marking a potential shift from soft power cooperation towards a more security-oriented cooperation and alliance. What does this moment mean for the Organization of Turkic States and for the wider Middle Corridor geography? And how might this crisis shape the evolution of both Middle Corridor geography and Organization of Turkic States going forward? I'm Orkhan, Amashov, you're watching Context. And joining me now in the studio is Ibrahim Mammadov, head of the Turkic-Western Engagement Initiative at the AnewZ Institute. Ibrahim, so grateful for joining us today.
It's my great pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. A lot has happened since our last conversation. I think last time when I interviewed you, we were talking about trilateral, bilateral format of cooperation between different Turkic countries. Naturally, we're going to touch upon all of these relevant elements. But let's talk about this crisis, unfolding crisis in and around the Islamic Republic of Iran. On the 7th of March, there was an informal meeting. And I would like to quote the statement, one particular sentence there. I think you also must have probably articulated about that particular precept as well. It says, that particular statement issued by the Organization of Turkic States, say that any threat to the security of an OTS member is a matter of concern for the entire organization. What do you make of this particular precept?
So what I see here is that we know in the Gabala summit, which took place in autumn last year, we've seen that we've seen the shift from Kyrgyz chairmanship to Azerbaijani chairmanship of Organization of Turkic States. And we saw that one of the proposals that Azerbaijan made during that summit was the joint military drills. And later, when the priorities of Organization of Turkic States under Azerbaijani chairmanship were announced, we saw that military drills is the major priority for this year. So we saw a bit of hesitation from Central Asian countries. However, I think particularly the illegal hit that was conducted by the Islamic Republic on the Nakhchivan exclave on Azerbaijan, and the joint statement basically pushed all of the Turkic states to consider a framework. Because we usually think of Organization of Turkic States as economic integration, cultural remembering, let's say. But in reality right now, given that to the north we have a conflicted zone, to the south now we have even more conflicted zone, with much greater escalation, with the concern that we see with all regions, Central Asia, Caucasus, Turkey, we can see that this actually pushed, I think this pushed more countries to realization that old frameworks do not work, and the new security frameworks are much more stable on the tested ground. So, and as a result, I think we have now this new joint statement with the joint threat statement.
And naturally, it wasn't just an ordinary regular meeting. It took place, I think, on the 7th of March, just 2 days after the Nakhchivan strike. And both Azerbaijan and Turkey suffered as a result of Iranian attack, although Iranians do not accept the fact that they attacked any of those neighboring countries. But supposedly, I think the reality is that it seems to be very obvious to many people, of course. One more point about Nakhchivan moment. So attack on Nakhchivan basically triggered this informal meeting together with attacks on Turkey. And we also remember that actually in its embryonic form, Organization of Turkic States, not in current form, but embryonic form, was actually first launched back in 2009 in Nakhchivan as well. So that was an inceptional Nakhchivan moment. And then in 2021, this organization was transformed into an international organization, the classical sense of the word, which was 1 year after the Karabakh War. So again, we see element of Azerbaijan. And Azerbaijan, Nakhchivan exclave of Azerbaijan is a key connector of Turkey with the rest of Azerbaijan, and then Central Asia. What else do you think will determine the future evolution of the organization of Turkic states?
Well, as you have mentioned, Nakhchivan has symbolic meaning to it, both from creation, evolution of the organization of Turkic states, but also it has from the critical infrastructure point, right? The Zangezur corridor should go through there, the TRIP project. We know that this was also probably a threat to aviation because the airport was hit along with the school. And obviously that triggered a major outcry, right? Everyone started focusing to greater security. But what I see right now, organization of Turkic states is primarily focused on integration of strategic initiatives, right? I've repeated this many times that what OTS does right in comparison to European Union, let's say, I don't compare them directly right now, they're incomparable, but still. From the inception point, like European Union focused straight from economic integration point, but Organization of Turkic States started to integrate strategic initiatives. So there is a big difference between that. So we started integrating Trans-Caspian corridor, right? We all agreed that it will pass through Azerbaijan, that Turkic countries will be together. We all took new initiatives on AI field, on the financial institution of Organization of Turkic States, the Turkic Investment Fund, and along with that, even the railways, when ADI and Kazakh Nurjolu, they are coordinating all the time together. So all of this infrastructure fits together. Because if they are separate, then it doesn't make sense, right? It's much more spending, it's uncoordinated labor. But we can see that first the rail network. We saw from the pipelines, now Kazakhstan, the more it sees hits on Caspian Pipeline Consortium, which passes through Russia and then Black Sea, it further diversifies through Azerbaijan. When Druzhba pipeline was cut in January, we saw further diversification through Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan. And even the green energy line, right? It's also coordinated because Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, and Uzbekistan, separate from OTS, signed the Integration of Energy Systems Act, basically supporting the further integration of Turkic states. So what I see as a healthy integration here is that we will see more and more strategic integration, which means we will take projects to integrate from. And based on projects, we will further integrate the systems. Like right now, our energy systems are set to be integrated between 3 countries at least. And we know Azerbaijan and Turkey are working closely together as well. And if Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan are connected, that makes automatically Kyrgyzstan connected as well. So at least in the energy sector, we will all be connected pretty soon, till the end of this decade. In transportation sector, we are already connected. All the new initiatives are coming together. So, and in terms of military, obviously, I believe that this was the initial trigger. This was, the idea was there, obviously, but this was initial trigger to action, basically, towards joint security, because I want to mention this again, like, in the New World Order, let's say, what I see is that there is already a movement towards Third World War, but hopefully it will not happen, but still, there is a coordination between Russia, Iran, and China. And this coordination does not mean military support. This coordination means only strategic facilitation. So, and what I mean by that here is late Foreign Minister Araqchi, when he mentioned when he was giving a speech to in an interview to U.S. outlet, that Russia is giving the coordinates of U.S. bases in Middle East to Iran. So this means that these countries do not really wish to support each other, let's say, intensively, but they are ready to support each other in terms of informing each other where the bases are. Sure. They are ready to help support each other with some cheap drones, let's say, as Iran supported Russia in the Ukraine war. Or they all basically wish to confront the US and Western forces by themselves with joint coordination. And here it's important for Turkic world to realize basically that it's only the joint Turkey coordination, at least coordination in the military sphere that can bring further security.
It's very interesting. You described the organization Turkic state, at least the harmonization happening there as a sort of integration of strategic initiatives. And unlike European Union, where you initially formulate a common framework, universal rules, and making other members to conform to those rules, here you actually lay the foundation for harmonization, the integration, the actual thing happening at a later stage. So you're creating a connectivity agenda, and basically if you're connected, you need to have the similar rules in order to make that connectivity work properly. It's very sort of a different philosophy lying at the heart of organization Turkic state. Allow me to put to you one question about military aspect, then we'll go back to middle corridor geography. Naturally, organization of Turkic state is not a military alliance. It may emerge into military alliance at some point later. It's not a Eurasian Economic Union style customs regime, not yet, may potentially. There will be, of course, questions to what extent you can be member, you can be actually the participant in two different regimes. Armenia facing this challenge now in the light of its so-called perhaps, but aspirations to join European Union in the fullness of time, which many people criticize for the lack of depth and analytical gravitas. My question is about these military drills you mentioned about them. Assuming that in the fullness of time, organization Turkic state becomes more kind of security oriented, with the 7th of March declaration indicating that this is indeed a sort of possibility, what will happen to those Turkic countries which are members of organization of Turkic state, but also members of the collective treaties organization, the collective security treaty organization? I think Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan are members there. Uzbekistan left, of course. Will it be a dilemma, you think, in the fullness of time, or do you think it's too early to talk about it?
No, I think at this moment it's early to talk about military bloc, let's say. And obviously, I think there will be major problems with Russia for these countries in exiting the CSTO and joining some type of other, not only even organization of Turkic states, military bloc, any other bloc led by, not led by Russia, basically. However, it's important to mention here that, yes, Russia helps Iran with coordinating the bases, but it's mostly the information sphere. And even if they help with resources, they're still limited. We have to know that Russia and Iran are official allies.
But they don't have this Article 5 style mutual defense clause.
But
they don't have it.
That's true, but this still raises questions, right? That still raises questions whether what will happen to Kazakhstan later on, or what would happen to Kyrgyzstan, but still, like, apart from that, what I would love to mention here particularly is that we already have actually a kind of maybe not bloc but coordination sphere in the military system. We know that Azerbaijan and Central Asia are doing have done last year a military drill, which is Galkhanısh military drill in Kazakhstan, which means that it's only Turkey which has been missing from this military drill. So that was the question, whether Turkey will be there or not. But Azerbaijan is also an ally of Turkey, right, from the Shusha Declaration. And this is the alliance that has been tested. That's not like any other alliance in the world. This actually has been tested in the Karabakh War, in the Great Patriotic War, and it has given fruitful results, basically, for the sovereignty of both countries. We know that Azerbaijan and Uzbekistan are allies.
Treaty allies.
Yes.
They signed a deal, signed a treaty and ratified it. Proper treaty allies.
Exactly.
But Kazakhstan is a bit different, right?
With Kazakhstan is a bit different. We are enhanced strategic partners within allied context. So there is a bit
there's an allied interaction, but not
allied interaction, which is. But I still believe that it will eventually shift to an alliance, maybe not military, but at least.
How would you define the bilateral interaction with Turkmenistan?
With Turkmenistan, I think right now, unfortunately, it's a bit competitive, but that's because we both are oil and gas rich countries, and Azerbaijan has been always telling that if Turkmenistan wishes to export its gas through Azerbaijan, then there is no problem for this export as long as there is a funding that will be given by the countries which need supply. Turkey has been pushing this agenda mostly.
Yeah.
Whereas, and I think this actually creates an opportunity right now, given that both Russia and Iran in the conflicts. This gives opportunity for European Union to get the energy from Turkmenistan if they are ready to fund it. But the major problem, as I understand, is within the fees, how much gas is sold, and there is some occasional, let's say, problems between Azerbaijan and Turkmenistan. However, I don't think they are unresolvable. These are just minor issues. We don't yet have a treaty on strategic or allied partnership, but I believe eventually that will come through as well, as our southern border basically destabilizes further. But yeah, to finalize, basically, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, they're also allies, right? So in a way, we see...
we've got to try that's a format involving Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan.
Yeah, and that's what I said. So Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan are in allied interaction, strategic partners with allied interaction. Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan are allies, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan are allies, and Turkey, Azerbaijan are allies. So we kind of have already some kind of network existing. Yeah, the only Azerbaijan and Turkey declaration mentions that an attack on one country is an attack on both. But still, allied relations mean something, right? It's although maybe they might not have specific clause on military component, they still mean something. Like this means that these countries are indispensable for each other, both economically, strategically, in every sense. So I believe that in case let's say Azerbaijan is in real danger, then all of these countries will have to act. It's and that's the difference from NATO. Let's say, like within NATO, we already see discussions forming, right? The US calls France and the UK to protect the Strait of Hormuz, and we saw Emmanuel Macron telling that we will never protect the Strait of Hormuz, right? Will not join this process. So, which basically means, in the processes which are external, let's say, they still have the right to choose. And we also saw, specifically in the latest years, that maybe some countries matter less within this network, which basically leads us to the idea that it's actually the economic and strategic initiatives, perspectives that drives countries into the military alliance, let's say, even if it doesn't exist, right?
So basically you form alliances and partnerships in the context of connectivity, building railways. So then, of course, if you're building railways, if you are doing business, you need to have rules, and those rules are going to be uniform, universal. That creates a foundation for that unification or harmonization. And naturally, then you need to protect your infrastructure. That creates a fundamental reason to have military cooperation of some sort.
Exactly. If I may add here, like for Central Asia particularly, the northern route is already closed for many years, right? The Chinese route is too long, and why would they go through China to the Western market? It's better to go directly to the West. The southern routes are right now closed after Taliban's takeover of Afghanistan. The situation is uncertain with Pakistan, so going to Gwadar or Karachi is not an option now. And Iran, we see what's happening right now with Iran. So which means Central Asia is basically encircled from all other sides. The only part which is open is this small narrow gap through Caucasus, basically through Azerbaijan specifically, right? And this is the most stable route, the one that has never been destabilized from the beginning of the Trans-Caspian corridor building, and it's actually harmonized. So it is a strategic imperative to protect this route.
So the opportunities for the middle corridor are there. Azerbaijan's importance, the region's importance is there. But also there are massive risks. According to Azerbaijan's State Security Service, on the 6th of March, they produced a report, and there have been many pieces of analysis on that subject. They effectively managed to apprehend Iranian-linked plot members, effectively, who were planning to target not just diplomatic sites, the Israeli embassy, not just certain locations in Baku and in the vicinity of Baku, but also Baku, Tbilisi, Ceyhan. So that effectively shows that Iran, of course, we will be waiting for the outcome of this report and so forth, legal process underway, is capable of projecting sort of a malicious and vicious power beyond its borders, attacking connectivity assets around the world. They already attacked Nakhchivan airport of Azerbaijan, which,
Yeah.
as I understand, is not a military target.
Yeah.
Azerbaijan basically is not at war with Iran,
Yeah.
and there's no US and Israeli military base within the confines of this country.
Yeah.
But PTC is a connectivity asset, and according to that report by State Security Service of Azerbaijan, those people were apprehended. How would you evaluate the extent of risk when you consider the capabilities of Iran?
So we need to understand here, the country's military is divided. So, and that's why probably, not probably, that's exactly why when they hit Nakhchivan airport, the president and foreign minister said that we did not do that. It's because the president is responsible for the Iranian military, which is a different organization, and there is also IRGC. Right?
Yes,
and IRGC is divided into each Ostan, which is a region in Iran, has its own headquarters of head command. Head command of IRGC for the local militias, army, or however we call them. But basically the structure is in a way, the RGC is structured as a guerrilla organization, basically. And this is basically which gives them the power to fight right now against US and Israel. So they do not act as a standard army. They are divided into regions. They are gathered among the local people, those deep believers that the Islamic State must continue living. And probably Nakhchivan was hit by one of the regional head commands, and it's very realistic that the head command of the Iranian army, not IRGC, wouldn't know about this. So this is quite possible. And with Baku Tbilisi Ceyhan, so the thought there is that Azerbaijan is the major supporter of oil to Israel, right? So and when we add up Kazakhstan numbers to it, it's basically two countries are accountable for 80% of oil supply of Israel. And we know that Kazakhstan exports its oil to Israel through Baku Tbilisi Ceyhan as well. So it is quite possible that IRGC would hit this project. However, obviously this would raise a major outrage globally, because Baku Tbilisi Ceyhan doesn't only work for Israel. It's a global pipeline. Like it's one of the most developed networks in the world for export of energy. So it is irrational. IRGC is acting mostly as a guerrilla. It's targeting every possible target that would harm economically Israeli or US structure in the region. That's why we saw hits in Dubai, right? Because
Qatar as well, entire Gulf region, Saudi Arabia.
It was because they tried to destabilize the stock markets, right? They tried to destabilize the whole economic system. We know
that explains the closure or semi-closure of the Strait of Hormuz as well.
Exactly. So,
two more questions, if I may, Ibrahim. Our time is incredibly limited. We talked about a number of issues, the different platforms by means of which Turkic countries are cooperating. We've got organization of Turkic states, full members which are advisory members, and we got C5+1, which is now C basically 6.
Exactly.
That includes Tajikistan, of course, which is not a Turkic country. How do you see the intersection of different platforms? So there are different organizations. Do you think all of these organizations, like Central Asia +1, which is now Central Asia 6, with Azerbaijan being part of it, Organization of Turkic States, and different trilateral, quadrilateral platforms, will they eventually emerge into one cohesive international body, you think?
Yeah, so that's a very nice question, because as you've noticed, there is many different configurations basically in the platforms. If we basically describe what is C6, it's OTS without Turkey, right? So if we look into it in simplified,
with Tajikistan,
right? But there is now OTS plus format, and I believe personally that eventually countries like Armenia, Georgia, Tajikistan.
Armenia expressed desire, by the way. Formally or informally. But they expressed desire.
So, but like I believe with the OTS plus, it's already like kind of noticeable that those countries which are in between Armenian and not Turkic will be within the OTS Plus framework, and they will be based on the, again, strategic initiatives consideration. Like Armenia's joining to OTS Plus is possible because of TRIP, right?
Yep.
And further reconciliation with Azerbaijan. So it all will depend on this process. Like it's not sure right now, but however it goes that way. With Georgia, it's very obvious, right? Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan, Southern Gas Corridor, the transportation lines, and Tajikistan for the Central Asia. That's the good passage from Kyrgyzstan to Uzbekistan. But C6, let's say, it's a more secure platform for Central Asian countries to feel secure in doing such initiatives as military drills, right? We know that within C6 we have military drills. The question arises whether OTS will have it, right? Because Turkey is something beyond regional power already. So that's a country which is on the very high top limit of a regional power. So obviously that raises concerns from the surrounding powers. Trilateral platforms or quadrilaterals, they are formed, as we discussed last time, based on the strategic initiatives. So first you have, let's say, green energy project, right? The line through Caspian Sea and Black Sea. So why do we have Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, and Uzbekistan? Because these three countries are keystone states that control the passages of the trade routes, yeah, and the coordination in the energy sphere eventually leads. So we take the grassroots in the trilaterals, quadrilaterals, and then bring them to OTS. I still believe that the OTS will be the major platform eventually, but those are basically helping to facilitate the process.
Fantastic. It's a very interesting area. It's sort of an intellectual challenge as well to understand all of those seemingly naturally connected elements coalescing into one sort of a kaleidoscope of one sort of a scope, and that's, you think that OTS will be the final? Sort of,
I believe so.
Not
yeah.
C6 or any other?
Well, I believe C6 will still exist.
Yeah.
There will be still initiatives, but OTS will be the overarching umbrella.
Because we haven't discussed Hungary, we have to discuss it properly at some point later.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're based there, of course, your knowledge is extensive, but that very important component of the wider subject that you've been researching and writing about. Ibrahim, so grateful to you for this interesting conversation.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful to you. Thank you, Orkhan.
Thank you. And I just conversed with Ibrahim Mammadov, head of the Turkic-Western Engagement Initiative at the AnewZ Institute. We discussed a number of issues against the backdrop of the escalating tensions in and around the Islamic Republic of Iran. Something is happening inside the Organization of Turkish States. Of course, the statement that was issued back on the 7th of March, in which there was a reference to the reality that attack on a member country, Azerbaijan or Turkey, is a matter of concern for the entire Organization of Turkish States, is widely understood by many analysts as the beginning of the process which could lead to a multifaceted organization, one aspect of which will be about military alliance as well. Well, you've been watching Context, and see you very soon indeed.